This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Swallow Kalahari. It's Yandre behind the camera and Dylan again. We're going to be taking on another magical guided experience out here in this wonderful land. Welcome to all our young viewers. We've got some fun stuff lined up this afternoon. Just a word of caution, we do have, these kudu did catch a kudu earlier, a young kudu, so you may see them feeding on that carcass. Just be warned, it shouldn't be too bad, it's all good. It's a nice warm afternoon, and you can just see they're just relaxing there. It was actually really funny. We came out here earlier to try follow these cats, and we actually didn't even know that they'd made a kill. And we looked and we looked and looked, couldn't find anything. And when we came back here this afternoon, there they are. So this is a mother, which is the one lying closest to us, the larger one, and she's got two cubs. It seems to be a male and a female cub. And they are now about 7 months old, 8 months old. Having a good rest. The hunter obviously itself actually takes a lot of energy, and also it's interesting. There's an increase in body temperature after the hunt. And traditionally, the accepted view has been, well, it's because of the chase and the lungs working so hard, and so the animal gets hot. But it's actually now been shown to be more closely related to stress levels rather than the actual chase itself. So in areas where there's other predators that could be competing with these cheetah in terms of taking the kill away, and there's obviously a direct potential threat to the cheetah itself, though those elevated stress levels can lead to an elevation in body temperature. And again, that's just a nice example of, as research continues in these kind of fields, you actually start understanding more about the physiology as well as the ecology of an animal. So we're actually sitting in a big valley here. You can't see it from this angle over here, but you've got this beautiful backdrop of the mountains behind us, in front of us, yeah, and then behind us there's a big valley with more hills, and it actually helps funnel animals through this neck over here, and it obviously becomes a very good area for predators to hunt, whether it's leopard or cheetah. And we've had spotted hyena hunting through these valleys. You do get animals moving and utilizing these hills frequently as well. Leopards, it's a really good spot for leopard. So that's an example of a species that we should always keep our eyes open for if we're moving through these areas. It's very interesting to see the posture of these cheetahs as they're lying down. It's a classic cheetah thing, lying flat just with their head up. And even when they...
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this side of the afternoon safari at andBeyond in Ngala. You are with me, Rowan, and behind the camera, OD or Owen Dal. So sorry about that. It seems like they lost a little bit of signal at Swallow Kalahari, but you guys will be back with the cheetah very soon. So I've just parked here because we heard some trumpeting up ahead, and you could see an elephant there. I don't know what spooked them or what scared them a little bit, but the trumpeting was quite loud. I'm going to go a slight bit forward to the next patch of shade and actually see what's going on. It's like a small herd. We've seen 3 there so far. Of course, we don't want to be the reason they are spooked either, so we're not going to approach too closely. For now, just park in the shade like this. until we can actually see what's going on. It seems like the one is very, very close to the road. So if we drive past it, we might actually give him or her a fright. They'll turn around, flap their ears and trumpet at us. So we don't really feel like spooking the elephant right now. Let's give it some time to move further away from the road. Of course, hello to all the kiddies. It is the kiddies session now for the next, 40 minutes. So we would like to hear from all of you. Please send your questions and comments through at kidsquestion@wildearth.tv. It's moving off slowly. Avery, who's 9 years old, wants to know how the animals react to us when we're on safari, and could it be why they are trumpeting? So Avery, usually perfectly fine. I think majority of these animals are very, very used to us being out here on safari. I mean, I've been doing this safari every morning, every afternoon for just over 6 years now. So as you can imagine, these animals have seen us and smelt us and just sensed us so many times that a lot of them are actually highly habituated. So the reason they are trumpeting also was not because of us. We were too far away, and so our presence wouldn't have alerted them at all. It was something else. It could just have been that one of the youngsters went a little bit too close to one of the other youngsters, started stealing its food or tried to bully it off, and then it just trumpeted because it was unhappy. It's like the bigger brother trying to steal the younger brother's food. So far, it still only sounds like 3 elephants. Okay, so let's see if they move. Let's see if they come out of the bushes and give us a clearer view. But for now, Tristan just wants to say good afternoon from Juma.
Indeed, it is that time of the day to say hello to all of you and to welcome you to Juma for the first time this afternoon. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. There's not a breath of wind, it's warmed up really nicely, and so it's perfect for being out on a safari this afternoon, and hopefully we're going to have a good drive and lots of good things are going to come our way. But as Rowan mentioned, my name is Tristan. Camera, I've got BK, who's, I think, becoming the lucky one out of all of us. I think BK is the one that seems to be attracting all the sightings. When he's on Dave's vehicle, he's got all the sightings. When he's on this vehicle, he gets all the sightings. So I'm glad to have him along for the ride this afternoon. BK can be the lucky cam op that's on a good run at the moment. Yeah, it's because of all the snacks that he carries, exactly. BK has got a whole lunchbox that he brings with us in the afternoons, which is a good thing. Anyway, what we're going to be doing this afternoon is we're going to be trying to find Thandi again. I left her this morning with one other vehicle in this thicket in front of me on the right-hand side. She was moving up towards this road, but she was still moving when the guys lost her, so I just want to check if maybe she came out and if she turned back towards where we think she's keeping the cubs. Maybe she went and fetched them and brought them somewhere. Maybe she made a kill. So there's lots and lots of options for us, and hopefully we're going to be able to find her again. Unfortunately, this morning I had damaged the vehicle, which, as you can see, is now working absolutely fine. So we managed to fix that during the course of the day fairly easily with Dave's help. And so we're all good to go now to find Thandi again and spend the afternoon with her. So that's going to be my plan. If we don't find her now, be high and bright, and it's going to be difficult to see tracks, we're going to go and spend some time at Buffelshoek Dam. We're going to hope maybe some elephants come, because there's been lots of elephants around the last couple hours. I could hear them in the bushes not too far from camp, so I'm going to hope that they're going to come down. There's also hippos there, there's the little grebes, there's lots going on there, so it's a good place just to sit and listen and hope that we maybe, just maybe, get an alarm call. And on this road is very, very, very bumpy and hard, so we're going to have to try and see if we can actually just spot some tracks there, and if we're not, we're going to check all the shady areas in order to see if maybe she's lined up. Harib is aged 8, I think I got that name right, I'm sorry if I... But you're asking how animals stay. Animals got its own own way of staying cool. So in the case of the leopard, like we're looking for now, they are part of the cat family. And open their mouth and they breathe fast, and as they're breathing, the hot air coming from inside their body, because their air inside is much warmer than on the outside, it exhales and it goes over their tongue. Now their tongue is covered in saliva, like ours is, and as the hot air goes over the tongue, it then causes the water to turn into a gas, which is called evaporation. Cools blood in the tongue and helps to cool them. They will also need shade, body covered in fur. They do need shade in order to. But if you take Roan's elephants, for example, they're not covered in as much hair, but they're still big animals, and so a lot of sun hits their ears, so they'll flap their ears, and those ears will be pulling air over the blood in the ears and cooling the body down that way. And then if you go to something like a foam nest tree frog, which is obviously on another level altogether, they actually change the color of their skin, chameleons too, and they will go a much lighter coloration, so that white color helps them to reflect light away and therefore not lose as much moisture and stay more hydrated and cool. So it's clever. All right, we are unfortunately losing a little bit of signal. It's not a great area to look around and see if she popped out. Let's send you back across, well, actually across today for the first time to say hello.
They are keeping cool, and it is super cute seeing this youngster lying down under mom's protective watch. Not something you see very often. Little oxpecker bouncing around there on the ground next to it. Just a lovely relaxed group of zebra this afternoon. My name is David Hancock. On camera we have Alex, and we are going to be exploring the Djuma Reserve this afternoon. Super excited. It's been a great start. Always love spending some time with zebra. So, very interesting. Interesting, the cooling that Tristan is talking about. There's actually theory on zebra stripes. I don't think it's proven. It's just a hypothesis, meaning it's an idea, a theory, that the black and the white stripes assist with cooling. The reason for that is that the black hair absorbs a bit more heat and the white absorbs less, and somehow through those stripes it allows with the dissipation of heat, or the cooling of the skin. Now, it's a very interesting and complex theory. I've read about it in a couple different books, but difficult to prove. At the end of the day, if a zebra wants to cool down, it goes and lies in the shade, or stands in the shade. Sometimes lies down like that little foal. It is super cute. Baby zebra are adorable. See, it's getting groomed there by that oxpecker. Going through its mane, getting ticks and parasites. So the oxpecker gets a meal, and the baby zebra gets its parasites removed. So it's a win-win. I believe everyone's enjoying seeing the zebra, especially such a young one. Just chilling here in the heat of the day. Although it's very cold in our mornings and our evenings, as you've seen by the attire or the clothes that Tristan and I have been wearing. It warms up very quickly once the sun comes out, and the middle of the day this time is actually quite warm. So animals are still looking for the shade. Asaya, you're 10 years old. You've asked what do those birds eat besides ticks and parasites on animals, and you're talking about the oxpeckers. So Asaya, they're actually going for the blood. They're not actually just going for the parasites and the ticks. They eat them because they contain blood, but they actually are going after the blood. They kind of, could almost call them bloodsuckers. Because often you'll find an animal that has a wound, perhaps a zebra that had a close encounter with a hyena or a lion that's got a wound on its backside, and you'll see those oxpeckers constantly picking at that wound, causing it to bleed, and they actually drink the blood. That's actually what they're going for. Sometimes they make it tough for wounds to heal because of that. But a very important bird out here, because as we just said, they really assist the animals with getting parasites that they couldn't otherwise reach. Well, we're not the only ones with animals in the shade. Let's send you over to Dylan and see what's happening.
So these cheetah are also lying in the shade, and they're going to be, I think, for quite a long time today. We can't see how much is left on the carcass. It's lying on the other side of the bush. You can actually just see the head and the ears sticking out there. Behind that last one on the right. But the temperature's nice now. It's actually, if you don't have a breeze over you, we're a little bit higher up. We're getting a bit of a breeze. It's okay, but low down where they're lying, when you're not getting that breeze, it can actually get quite warm. And you can see her belly's full. That was a really, really, really good meal. Adrian, that's a very good question. When will the cheetahs need to hunt again? It depends on what size animal that they've actually caught. So this is a young kudu, and there's 3 cheetah. It's a mother with 2 fairly young ones still, so they're quite small. So this meal will actually be fine for them for another 3-4 days. They'll probably finish it this afternoon, even this evening already, but they won't catch again for another 3-4 days. But something to remember is that any predator will actually take any opportunity that it can, if it's easy enough, to actually try to catch something. So what's just happened there? These cheetah have just heard there's a big troop of baboons that we can't even see them, but we can hear them far away on the other side of the valley. That's what attracted their attention. Yeah, that is fantastic to see, eh? But there we go. They're calming down very quickly. See, the mother's not concerned. She's alert, because baboons are omnivores, and a big troop, and this particular troop is probably about 50 individuals, can actually chase a cheetah like this off a kill. If they realize, oh, there's a kill here and it's just cheetah, they'll actually very, very likely actually chase these cheetah and actually take this kill away and feed on it. So she's very alert. She's not concerned. You can see her demeanor is relaxed, but she's super alert. I mean, these 2 cubs are still probably another 5-6 months away from actually being able to catch their own prey items. And at this age now, she will, if she catches something small, let's say she catches a Steinbok, which is that very, very small little antelope we get here, she will catch it, keep it alive, and then once the youngsters have got back to her, she'll actually let it go and let them start trying to practice their skills, their hunting skills. It's quite difficult to watch, but it's part of nature. Now all 3 of them are watching those baboons. I can't even see those baboons yet. But of course, cheetah have got excellent eyesight. Kes has asked a great question. How fast can a cheetah actually run? And why I say it's a very, very good question is you'll read a lot of books and you'll hear people say, oh, a cheetah can run at anything between 80 kilometers an hour and just over 100 kilometers an hour, which makes sense if it had absolutely perfect conditions. Well, in nature, those perfect conditions very, very, very seldom exist. You can imagine, just looking at where these cheetah have caught this kudu. You see there's lots of bushes around, lots of trees, there's actually rocks in the background. There's no ways a cheetah is going to be able to reach that speed or would even need to reach that speed in this kind of environment. As we're traveling around, over the next couple of weeks, you will be seeing a lot of holes dug by aardvark and other small burrowing creatures in the sand. And any obstacle like that, whether it's rocks or bushes or holes, can prevent a cheetah from running as fast as it should. And of course, that can also work against the animal that it's trying to catch. An animal, doesn't matter how fast it is, if there's a lot of obstacles in its way, it's not going to be able to run as fast as it would like to get away from a predator. So we're going to spend a little bit more time with these cheetah, but in the meantime head over to David and the baby zebra to see what they're up to.
They are up. Nice to see that youngster. Look how fluffy it is. Such a lovely coat it's got there. It's a bit bigger than I thought it was. Looked a bit smaller when it was lying down, but still so cute. It's interesting, they start eating grass at a very young age. They still rely on their mother's milk. But one of the animals that really can start grazing early on. But what's interesting about them is they actually have to eat the droppings or the dung of the adults in their first week of life so that they can get those bacteria that assist in the breakdown of the grass. We spoke yesterday about why zebras have such big bellies all the time. They look so fat. And the reason for that is that digestive system has so much gas in it. But that one's not fat yet, it's still growing up. But it's quick. Those long legs can run. So cute, so glad we got to see the baby. Great start to the drive. Well, it sounds like Rowan has caught up with his elephants on Ngala, so let's send you back to him.
So it turns out we thought there was a herd of 3, and then it's just more and more and more started coming. So they crossed the road in front of us going south, and we're actually waiting for them to come out on this road. But for now there's a young male further off from the herd, and I think he's going through that stage in life where the matriarch is actually telling him to move on, go find other males. So it's almost that rejection stage in life where mom's telling him, you are now big enough to leave the house, to leave the herd. So he'll just lag behind the herd about 100 or so meters for a couple of days, or maybe even weeks or months, and then find other males with which he can join up with. Luckily for him, there's food and water and just everything, everywhere. But he'll need to find some friends or some other males that he wants to be social with. Often you'll find these younger males join up with big older bulls, and they learn all the stuff from the bush, from them, from the older males. still hear the rest of the herd behind us. Like they're just eating. They're actually very loud earlier. Nick is saying, shame, he's only learning. Absolutely, Nick, don't we all go through it? This herd was actually quite loud. A lot of stomach rumbles, just going. Okay, so some of the females are coming from the left now. I think while he's disappearing behind the bush. OD, I'm just going to position us like that. So this particular female has 2 youngsters that were following her. And those are the original 3 that we saw. That's why we thought the herd was only 3 strong. And then it's just more and more of them kept coming. And it's absolutely astounding every single time how quiet an elephant can be for their size. It's the soft pads that they walk on. Okay, well, we're going to sit here for a while, see where these elephants go. If they don't come out the bush, we might go to a watering hole. But for now, we're going to send you to Tristan, who's already at a watering hole.
We are indeed. We just come up to Buffelshoek Dam. We didn't find any tracks for Tundi coming out, but on that road it's so hard and the light is so harsh still that spotting tracks is really not going to be very easy on that road unless you're walking. Driving in a car is going to be a little bit tricky. So we decided to come to Buffelshoek Dam, see if maybe there were some elephants around or some buffalo, and we had 2 buffalo bulls, but they've disappeared off into the thickets. I'm sure we'll find them again just now. We'll go look for them. So we thought we'd just stay with the hippos for a while and listen. You never know what we can hear from here. Maybe we hear an alarm call of a squirrel or a bird, or you never know, even something like an impala or a kudu shouting, and that could give us an indication of where Tundi is. I suspect she hasn't gone too far from this area, although Tundi can move a lot during the course of the day. She's a leopard that sometimes will walk around even when it's very hot, particularly if she's looking for food and wants to get back to her cubs to suckle. Remember, she's got 2 cubs at the moment, and so she doesn't always want to leave them for long periods of time unattended. So often she'll go hunting and then kind of back towards the cubs. So we'll check around the area. Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll eventually find her somewhere in this general vicinity. But nice to kind of come to our hippos, particularly because there's the new little baby one. In fact, there's 2 young ones here. And there's one small one that's in front of that adult there, and then there's another little one just off to the left. I think the little one off to the left is the one that was sitting on Mom's back. Was it last night that we were here? Or the night before? I can't remember now even. But it was climbing, it was last night, it was climbing on its mom's back and just sitting there as if to say, you know, this is where I'm going to chill. Poor mom, unfortunately, was being pushed down by her little infant. Now, a hippo of that size is probably already weighing over 100 kilograms, so you can imagine having 100 kilograms or 200 pounds on your back and sitting there and having to kind of hold that baby up as well as try and breathe yourself. Not the easiest thing to do, that's for sure. I hear some of the birds shouting here. I wonder if it's not a bird of prey or something that's come past. I would imagine that today also, because of the heat spike after yesterday's cool weather, that snakes will be quite active. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of puff adders moving around. Particularly at this time of the year, the puff adders are busy creatures. As they start looking for mates, it's a little bit early. Normally they start kind of July, August, but it seems like they're quite active at the moment. We've been seeing lots and lots of puff adder tracks, and we've had lots of puff adders. Obviously at Swalu, in the Kalahari they've had, and at andBeyond we've had, and here at Juma as well. So it seems like a lot of puff adder activity. And then I've seen some tracks for some rather large snakes as well that look like maybe cobras or mambas that could be around. That more side winding track that you get. Generally a puff adder track is a very linear track, so it's kind of in a straight line across the road. But when you get a windy track, that's normally your faster moving snakes, which could be, you know, wolf snakes, fowl snakes, mambas, cobras, boomslang, all kinds of different things that hang around this particular part of the world. It's just so nice sometimes just sitting here with these hippos and enjoying their kind of stillness that they bring about. There's something peaceful about watching them just bob around, and then every now and then you hear a little kind of snort and a little grunt and breathing, but it adds some atmosphere. Alright, well, we're going to sit here a little bit longer. We'll see if maybe something else comes down. I might go and see if I can find those buffalo quickly. And in the meantime, though, it sounds like Dylan is off to a cracker this afternoon and has already found those cheetah, and so I'm sure he's enjoying the scene in front of him.
They've barely budged. After the baboon incident, they will just lay down peacefully again. Every now and again you'll see their tails flick. That's not a sign of aggression or anger or anything. It's just flies. This small little, if I actually can find one somewhere or catch one somewhere, they're called louse flies, and they can be quite an irritant to cheetah and other predators, and they frequently pack around the neck and get in under the hair on the neck. So that could just be that there's one or two of those buzzing around that they're flicking their tails for. But some cats, and those of you who have domestic cats at home, will often know a flicking tail can be a sign that a cat is irritated. Lions do that, tail flicks. Yandra and I were just chatting, and our thinking is that we might actually just spend quite a bit of time here this afternoon with his cheetah, and hopefully brown hyena come in later. Sarah's just asked, do the spots on a cheetah perhaps have anything to do with the cooling? It's unlikely. The spots are a brilliant way of camouflaging cheetah, and we see it regularly. In fact, today when we were looking for these animals, we almost drove right past them, and they were sitting probably 30-40 yards off the road. That spot pattern at a distance blends in beautifully with this environment. But it's not a bad question there, because if you look at an animal like a zebra, for instance, one of the theories on why do zebras have stripes, and that's a question that gets asked often, is that it actually may have something to do with helping temperature regulation in zebra. So yeah, I'm not saying that the spots on a cheetah don't help it with regulate its body temperature, but I'd say the primary reason for having spots is camouflage. And the spots are also really cool for us because it actually can help us identify specific animals through their spot pattern. Following Tristan and David and the guys down at Juma and Ngala, with the leopards, how they're using the leopard spot patterns to identify individual animals. You can actually do the same on cheetah as well. And as we're looking at this cheetah, her left cheek is towards us, and she's got those on her face. She's got those two very, very distinct spots on the bottom left of her cheek over there on the white. That's just one of the identification points in this animal. Yeah, so we're thinking that we might actually hang around here, and hopefully later, as it starts getting cooler, it's a long shot, but the fact that they have fed a lot, and they've still got a bit of a kill remaining over there, if they move off, maybe we'll get something like brown hyena coming in, and that would be super, super, super exciting. Hope baboons, they don't necessarily bother cheetah if they're at a comfortable distance away from them. But because baboons will actually eat meat occasionally, it's not that they will actually harm the cheetah, but they will come in and try to take that kill away from them. And obviously the cheetah aren't going to wait around for baboons to do that. So they'll rather just move off. They've eaten a lot already, and the baboons will just eat what's left over there. But yeah, we've seen baboons chasing leopards here on Swallow. And so any of these predators, a troop of baboons can be 40, 50, 60 individuals. And those big males, the ones that can defend those troops, can be very, very, very aggressive. They've got really big teeth. So all of these kind of cats, including leopard, will normally be very cautious of baboons. And particularly a female like this with youngsters. We're going to sit and wait this out, and hopefully we'll get some action in terms of hyena later. But in the meantime, head over to Tristan and his hippos.
I'm sure we'll get some action maybe a little bit later. There'll be some jackals arriving and all kinds of other things. Maybe a brown hyena, if we're very lucky, might arrive that side. I'm very jealous of the guys at Swali Kalahari because they get to see brown hyenas. They're such cool looking creatures, and so I'm hoping that we get to see them soon enough. I'm sure all of you guys would love to see them too, with their long shaggy coats. They're really, really cool, and their tracks actually are really interesting too, because they look very similar to a normal spotted hyena track, but because they've got so much fur on their legs, they'll actually leave little striations or little marks where the fur kind of is around the pad, and that's how you can tell the difference quite clearly between the spotted and the brown hyenas. So I'm really hoping that they'll show their face maybe a little bit later. But our hippos are, well, bobbing about. They're doing what hippos do, and being hippo-y about life. They haven't moved too much, of course, because it's still so warm at this time of the day. Harry, how big are hippos' teeth? Well, it depends which tooth you're looking at. So these guys, and it would be nice if they would yawn right now, because then we'd be able to show you. But these guys have got these massive, massive, massive incisors that come out. And those incisors can be almost the length of from my elbow to my tip of my fingers, which is big. I mean, it's over 30 centimeters, so it can make massive, massive tusks out of the lower jaw particularly. Those are the ones that get really big, and then out of the top, they're not quite as long, I find. They typically shorten up a little bit. And then they've got quite long sort of teeth in the front, and then at the back, those teeth are not long at all. Those teeth are quite short, and that's because those are more grinding teeth. So what those are for is when they break grass with their lips, and then the grass goes into their mouth. These big flat teeth will grind the grass down. So those teeth are not meant to be long, because otherwise they're going to just get in the way. But the other teeth that are long, so those modified incisors that we're talking about, they are long for protection. If you look at a hippo, you see a hippo doesn't have horns, it doesn't have sharp claws, it doesn't have sharp kind of defensive mechanisms, and so what it has to have is it has to have something to be able to fight for territory and to be able to defend itself. And so these big long teeth that sharpen on one another are what they use, and they can be really, really, really lethal to a lot of other animals. So you wouldn't want to get too close to a hippo. There was once a pride of lions that was filmed in the eastern side of the Kruger National Park. And on that eastern side, there was a big pride, and they sometimes used to hunt buffalo and giraffe, because they needed enough to feed all of them. And the one time they tried to hunt a hippo, and the lioness got hit by the hippo and bitten, and the tooth of the hippo actually went through underneath her jaw and out her mouth and then up towards her eye. So you can imagine how far it goes, and that lioness actually survived, which is pretty crazy. It was able to survive that. But hippos are not something you mess around with. There's been a few animals that have unfortunately learnt their lesson by getting too close, particularly predators. And then obviously people too. There's been a lot of people that have been attacked by hippos, and so long teeth, and like I say, to try and kind of protect themselves more than anything else. All right, now another animal that has a modified incisor or tusk is an elephant, and it sounds like Rowan has found his ellies going down to another waterhole.
not one, but 3. Again, small herd. And especially on a hot day like today, I think it's 30 degrees Celsius. And winter, of course, so it's quite hot. There's not too much water left, so very good time to come check watering holes, especially for elephants. And lo and behold, that's what we found. And they've just been standing there, almost just really chilling. Feet in the water, I think, cooling down through that, and it's only been the one female drinking. Others just kind of feeling around and walk. Oh, okay, there's the other one drinking as well. But very at peace. So they are on the far end of the dam, so we are quite zoomed in now, but the water is crystal clear. I see a few little grebes swimming around. Every now and then a hippo pops up on the, or even further end, there's a male wildebeest. It's also come down for a drink, and he definitely took his time. Of course, for them, they're quite a bit vulnerable, so they'll usually check out the watering hole quite well before they come for a drink. There is. Ranica, oh, he's going to roll around. Sorry, Ranica, I'll answer your question now. What he's doing now is depositing his scent. They've got a scent gland just below their eyes. There we go, he might just roll all the way over. Scrubbing the face into the dirt. There we go. Territorial markings. So Ranica has asked, do I think animals ever get bored? I must tell you, I think that wildebeest is bored to be scrubbing his face into the dirt like that. But Ranica, no, I think boredom is, again, it's a human invention. I don't know, I think these animals, they pretty much just take each day as it comes. So every day they don't really know what it holds, where they're going to go feed. Elephants just feed pretty much the entire day, so do buffalo. Then they go drink, they cool down. It's not like us who has a schedule to maintain, and so if you don't have a lunch meeting at 1 o'clock, what are you going to do? Oh no, I'm so bored, there's no one to go out to lunch with. So I think that's more of a human thing. I've often wondered about our dog, whether he is bored with the garden, because you take him for a walk every day, but other than that he's always in the house and he's always in the garden, so he doesn't get to leave it. But I just don't think animals perceive it that way, not like humans do. There's a little grebe sailing around. The wildebeest has now left. He's scrubbed his face all over the soil there, and he's done. He's out of here. Well, it seems that none of the rangers on the show are bored today. But for now, we're going to send you over to Dylan at Twalu Kalahari, enjoying the company of 3 cheetahs.
Ronan, my colleagues down there are quite right. You can't get bored out here. So what's just happened? The 2 youngsters walked around past the kill. The one went and lay down, and the other one actually dragged the kill a little bit closer towards mom, further into the shade towards us, which is really cool. Now that one's just got up and they're both feeding. Mom's belly is really full, but I think she'll feed a little bit more just now. And she's going to want to go down to the water later, after this meal. She's still keeping a good eye on those baboons, and we still can't see them. We can't even hear them anymore, but she knows that they're down that way. So a kill like this, once they move off, you can get any number of other scavengers coming in, from jackal to hyena, even leopard. could potentially feed on a kill like this. Most predators aren't averse to scavenging if they get an opportunity, although some are more likely just to hunt their own prey, like African wild dogs, Cape hunting dogs. You know, it's seldom that they will actually just feed on a carcass. Correct, Sam. It is great to see so many cheetah. We've actually got a number of different groups that the guys see occasionally, and the largest group that we've seen recently is up to 5 cheetah together. 5, and those are ones that are already independent of the mother. That was a group of 5 males. So imagine seeing that. Imagine seeing a female with 5 cubs. That would be quite something. But it's just been such a pleasure watching these 2 youngsters grow to adulthood. And I mean, they still got quite a few months to go still with mom and a lot of learning. But they almost at that point now where you could say, okay, there's probably a 90% chance now that they're going to both reach adulthood. You know, if it was 4 months ago, you know, then it's really touch and go because anything can happen. You know, they're not big and fast enough to really get away from other predators, you know, whatever kind of danger it is. Whereas now, I mean, geez, these little guys would pretty easily avoid other predators if they had to. Oh, look how gorgeous they are. Wow. But those tear lines on the face are just so distinctive with those orange eyes. Ooh, she's watching something. We can't see anything yet, but while we're figuring this out, head over to Tristan and we'll be back shortly.
It'll be interesting to see what it is. Female cheetahs are obviously very, very wary at carcasses when their cubs are around and will constantly be on the scan. It's so nice to talk about female cheetahs and cubs again, something we obviously don't see a lot of in this part of the world. Our leopards really dominate the landscape here, and so there's not really much of a chance for the cheetahs. The terrain doesn't suit them and too many other predators to compete with them. But what we have found is 2 buffalo bulls. Now this is something a cheetah wouldn't have to worry about, nor would a buffalo have to worry about a cheetah, because the likelihood of them hunting buffalo is almost zero, particularly big bulls like this. These are really reserved for only the biggest of the big cats out here, and that is the lions. And it's been really interesting to kind of see how the lions just haven't really gone after buffalo since I've been here, yet we've had so many buffalo around. It's weird how they've just kind of missed each other ever so slightly, and the days that the lions have been here and versus the days when the buffalo have been here. Anyway, it's that time of the day where I need to welcome all of you that are joining us now after the kids dedicated session for the beginning of the drive. So for those of you that have joined us, it's a very, very warm welcome. Those of you that were on with us already, well, carry on watching. Remember, you can ask questions now, and you can use hashtag WildEarth or @FC on the YouTube chat streams. And for the kids that are going to continue watching, you guys can still send your questions through the same way that you were prior to now. So hopefully we'll hear from a lot of kids still. It's always nice to have the youth watching. But it's just these 2 boys are a stark reminder that we need to be a lot more careful about what we're doing when we are tracking at the moment. These guys are going to be more and more prominent, and we're going to find a lot more of these guys hanging around the area. As these herds move through, you often get these bulls just sort of sticking behind, particularly because we've got really nice water holes, these big water points, and often right next to them, nice drainage lines, which are perfect cover for them. There's food, there's water, and so we're going to have to pay attention when we're walking in those drainage lines. You know, for the last 2 years, we've had so few buffalo that it's been really simple to walk around. You haven't even really had to think about buffalo. I mean, I remember there was a time where I went about 6 months without seeing a single buffalo track on this reserve. And now all of that has changed. You know, there's a lot more activity when it comes to buffalo, and so you're going to have to be a lot more careful about what we're doing and how we go about our business. But I must say it's really nice to have them back. There's something about a buffalo. I mean, I know that they do not look that exciting to a lot of people, but there's some mood and atmosphere when you're around buffalo where you just kind of feel a little uneasy almost, because they are so grumpy at times. You almost feel like, you know, anything could happen at any point. So I always like that about them, and they obviously have these incredible interactions with the lions, and so seeing that interaction is always quite interesting. It also means if lions catch them that they generally stick around for a little bit longer than they have been of late. So buffalo are going to be a really good part of this winter, that's for sure. Cindy Luhu, these really are beefalo. These guys are bulky and big, and just look at the size of that one's neck. If you take that neck area and you use the horns, or the oxpeck is actually really a nice kind of size reference. This bird and how many birds you would have to make up just for that neck alone. It's absolutely amazing how big and strong they're looking, and the condition of the buffalo this year is what's so nice to see, because, you know, previously the buffalo really didn't look good. The last 5 years we've seen skinny, weak, almost sorry state buffaloes, but these guys now, and the herds in general, are all looking much, much healthier. They've got nice muscular structure on their hip areas, on their necks, and they're looking like they've had a good year of food, which is wonderful to see. And hopefully this means that the buffalo numbers are going to start bouncing back a little bit, and we're going to start to see a lot more buffalo again. Storybook, I have heard of it, and I can't remember from where, of a cheetah hunting a buffalo calf. I've got to rack my brains now, but I have heard of it before. It's not something I think would happen very often, but it is something that I've heard of, and I think I even saw a photo of it once. I must try and remember where exactly it was. Probably in the Mara somewhere, or East Africa. But look at that stare that this guy has got. Grumpy. This one is a lot more wary than the other one. It's the younger of the two bulls, and shorter horns, but far less comfortable with our presence. The other one is a lot more kind of relaxed and just meanders around, but this one is always staring at us when we're moving, and you can see he's young because of his ears are not tatty at all, and very little in the way of lost fur on the body itself. All right, as these guys disappear into a thicket where we're not going to follow them, let's send you back to Swali Kalahari with Dylan and find out what's the biggest thing he's seen the cheetahs there take down.
Are we going live? So that's a super fascinating question about, have I ever seen cheetah catching buffalo calves? I've never seen it, and I would imagine it's probably extremely unlikely. And yet one thing that I've learned about having spent a fair amount of time in the outdoors is that never assume anything. And, you know, you'll say something and you'll get proven wrong shortly. I mean, I've seen male cheetah, 2 males, take down 6-month-old giraffe calves, which is pretty unusual prey item for them. But yeah, buffalo, I would be surprised, but hey, this is nature, and I reckon anything goes, eh? She's still staring intently in the direction from where the baboons are making a noise, while her cubs just couldn't care less. They're just interested in that carcass. So Yandra and I were actually just chatting about whether she can actually see the baboons, or if she's just still alert to their presence because of the sounds that they were making earlier. But whichever, she doesn't seem too concerned about it. And the fact that she's not moving off, she's letting the youngsters carry on feeding. Those are good signs that she's nice and relaxed. See, those 2 single spots in her left cheek are very noticeable, very prominent. Oh, they are magnificent cats. She may lay down again. I think she will. It's certainly hot enough. There we go. Almost looks like those cubs have fallen asleep on that kill. They haven't. There you go.
Welcome back. Sorry about that. It's been a little bit of a gremlin on Swallow's side, but all good this side. Alex and I are busy cruising through Simbambili looking for some tracks. We actually found something not unusual, but something very cute. I picked it up because I wanted to show you guys when I saw you again. It is that. Sounds like the gremlins were following us there. What I wanted to show you was the cutest little droppings you've ever seen. I know droppings are not normally something you would consider cute. These are baby elephant droppings. How funny are these? Would you ever imagine that 5 little elephant droppings could fit in my hands? I know it's just poo, but something cute about it. I can just imagine a very young baby elephant depositing these little chocolate eclairs in the bush. Thought that was pretty funny. Linda Poli, lol, is that your assessment of these? They are pretty funny, hey? Put them back in the ground so that they can decompose and go back to nature. You gotta take it all in, Archer. There's so much to find comical and find amusing. There's so much cuteness and color and humor, and even watching elephants together, youngsters play. Well, let's go back over to Ron and see what he's up to.
So while David is looking for Juma, we are now looking for a lilac-breasted roller. Apparently Emma at final control. All she wants to see is a lilac-breasted roller, I think, because, who was it? Matthew, a couple of days ago, really wanted to see a lilac-breasted roller, and then we couldn't find him one because we kind of bumped into some other things, and so now we're on the lookout for a lilac-breasted roller for Emma. It's funny when you look for the things and you can't find them, but when you're not looking for them, they are everywhere. Literally always happens. But at least this time we have more time, like more sunlight before we can find them. See very old, well not very old, but some old elephant dung in the road. Although today's been quite hot, so all of it's been baked away, quite nice and dry. So a little bit later on, when it cools down, we will go past where we had the Birmingham Pride in the Timbavati River and actually see what they're up to, if the Pride has moved on, if they are still with the lioness, with the youngsters, with the 2 cubs, or what's actually happened there. When we left this morning, it looked like majority of the Pride actually went further west, but now that could have been just for shade. So Jenna also loves lilac-breasted rollers, so now we have to find one for Jenna and Emma. What are the chances that your names nearly rhyme? Jenna and Emma, I'm sure we can find one. Oh, and you're going to have to act very quickly if we see one flying over. A lot of the time what gives them away is that ugly call. Really not a very pretty voice to such a magnificent bird, but like I always say, you can't have everything, can you? Crystal wants to know if the temperature affects animals' schedules. Crystal, yeah, it affects their behavior into the length of the day. It's with winter, you'll see, I mean, you can even notice with these live drives how we pushed the time later in the morning and then made it earlier in the afternoon, just because animals tend to be more active during the cold of the day, well, predators at least, and then during the heat of the day, especially winter time now when it's so dry, you'll find a lot of animals going to the watering holes to drink. Whereas in summer, they would actually go earlier to the watering holes and try to stick to shade during the heat of the day. So absolutely, their schedules are affected by the temperature. For those of you that do not know what a lilac-breasted roller looks like, it's literally the bluest bird that we can find out here. So while we look for this thing, it shouldn't be that hard, we're going to send you back over to David, who's found an impala.
And not just one impala, oh, excuse me, Mr. Impala, but we're going to zoom out on all the impala while we let that one have a toilet break. Lovely large herd of impala here. So awesome seeing so many together. And many of these adult females could be pregnant already now, coming to the end of the rut. And next year, or the end of this year, end of the year into early next year, the babies will be born, replenishing the numbers in the bush. This very important key species out here, and that is the big ram here at the moment. The dominant males will succeed in fighting off subordinate males, and the reward is breeding rights, so his genes will be passed on. I'm sure he has sired many lambs this season. There's Impala 2 seeking the shade of that large marula tree. And of course they're choosing to spend their time out here in the open where they can see. And speaking of them being able to see, Cecilia, you're 9 years old and you've asked a question, is there a specific place where Impala like to eat grass? Now there is. They like these open areas. They don't only eat grass, they also like to eat leaves and some species of different plants and grasses, so they're mixed feeders. They like to move where this food is the sweetest, but most importantly, they like to be able to be in the open where they can see all around them in case a leopard or a lion or another predator is going to come too close. They're very quick animals, very fast. They're faster than lion, and they could outrun it if they have a head start. So they like to be in these open fields like we are sitting in at the moment. That allows them to get a head start should they see a predator. A very common animal that we have out here. It's still strikingly beautiful. I love those black lines on their bums and those different shades of color along their flanks. Samantha, you said you cannot wait for lambing season. That was very, very loud. Just heard some elephants shouting down in the valley. You may have heard it. If you didn't, we'll go down there and investigate, hopefully find them for you. But just so great spending time with these Impala. I hope they all stay safe. Of course, they're an important food source, but they are just also cute and pretty animals. You don't want any of them to come to any harm, but that is the cycle of the bush out here. Things keep going. Some will get eaten, some will survive. Many of these females will have their babies end of the year and lambing season, like Samantha's excited for. And of course, that's in many months to come. We will be out here, but we do need your continued support to be able to keep doing what we do. Remember to follow that link at the bottom of the screen. Show your support, and we really appreciate it. Well, I think we should head on and try and see if we can find the source of this trumpeting elephants. While we do that, let's send you over to Tristan and get an update.
Good luck, David. Hopefully you'll find your trumpeting ellies. I am just driving nice and slowly on Cheetah Cutline at the moment in the hope that I can see if there's any signs of Tandy crossing back into Torture to see if she's gone that way. If we don't find anything, then we know there's a really good chance she's somewhere on Juma, and this afternoon we should have hopefully a bit of luck and we'll be able to find her again. It's going to take a lot of luck because where she was lost is just, it's just not an area you can actually really get a car through. So she's going to have to come right out onto one of the roads. But I'm hoping what she did is she went and for food, and maybe went and hunted a bit and then turned and is hopefully now going to start making her way back towards Torchwood. And that's why I want to drive here, just to make sure first that she's not out. Once we know she's not out, what are you doing up there? That is the most random thing I have seen in a while. You see there's a Steinbok hiding in this termite mound. You see it, Speaker? So on the termite mound, go straight in from where you are now to kind of the bottom right now, a little bit to the right, a little bit more. It's definitely there it is, bottom right, more, straight in now. There we go, there's its ears and its horns. So I have no idea why there is a Steinbok sitting on a mound. In fact, it's the first time that I've seen one on a mound like this. They're not ones that utilize termite mounds in order to get better nutrition. These guys are ones that are normally down on the ground, and they like to hide out in the little thicket areas and long grass. Very, very, very odd to have one on top there. What are you doing up there, little guy? The only things I've ever seen on this termite mound are things that eat you, which is mostly leopards, but it's crazy. Isn't it well camouflaged, though? It just goes to show you how these guys blend in. And this morning when we were watching Thandi, when she was walking, this is what she's looking for. She's trying to find these guys hidden and lying down, particularly on the cold mornings. A lot of them will just be hunkered down in the grass, just trying to stay warm, waiting for that sun to get a little bit higher before they start to move around. And so what I suspect has happened is this Steinbok has probably just found this a really good place to rest. It's got a bit of shade from a nearby tree. It's thick grass, which means it's not exposed like most termite mounds would make it. And so it's actually really the perfect place. It's got a bit of height. So this is a very clever Steinbok that we've got, because it's able to see all the way around it, and yet still have some sort of camouflage on the mound itself. Amazing. It's incredible how they just blend in. Oh, Lorimer, you're saying you're loving these ears? They are cool, aren't they? You can just see them moving every now and then. It's all you can see of this little Steinbok. It's so small and kind of down in the grass that you can't really make out much more. It's a little male. I don't see any sign of a female anywhere. She might be just lurking somewhere close by, but I'm astounded as to why this guy is up here. I guess, like I say, it's just a good place, a good vantage point, and there's good grass, so they can just lie in it. It seems fair enough. That's madness. Okay, let's try and just move forward slightly and just see if we can get a slightly better view, because at the moment it's really just completely hidden Steinbok. For a second, at first when I kind of glanced over and saw ears, I thought it was maybe a caracal, funny enough, because, you know, cats often sit up on these things, and it had that coloration, but it obviously sits here regularly. I mean, you can see the grass is fairly squished down, and it's almost like it's got a little bed there that it's using. I mean, fair enough, to be honest. I think if I was a Steinbok, I'd also want to sit up there and take it easy. It does look comfortable, doesn't it? Don't you love also, the one thing about a Steinbok, which we very seldom talk about because generally we're not seeing them for long enough, is their little teardrop noses. So a lot of people don't notice this when looking at Steinbok, but if you look at their nose, it's got, the black is almost like a teardrop, and it goes back up towards the middle of the eye area. It's a really cool little feature that they've got, and these guys are absolutely amazing little creatures. They can survive in the harshest of harshest places. So here in this particular area, yes, we are an area that does get dry in the winter, but we generally have quite a lot of food and water, and particularly because in this part of the world there's a lot of pumped water points. But these guys survive in the Kalahari Desert even, where they are able to basically get moisture off of the plants that they eat. So a lot of the times in the mornings, because of how cold it gets, dew will form on leaves, and they'll literally just go up to the leaves and they'll basically drink, so to speak, off those leaves, as well as sequester moisture from the plants that they are eating. And I know the other day Dylan was doing the Sama melons. These guys typically are not strong enough to kind of dig them up, but I would imagine, when we'll ask Dylan, imagine that maybe he has seen some of these guys sometimes utilize them, if maybe like something like a gemsbok has potentially dug them up. But now I feel bad that I've moved him from his little thing, but he looked fairly relaxed for a while. Look at that, isn't that cool? That's very, very cool. All right. Now, sorry, Emma. There was lots of talk on the Game Drive radio, so I didn't quite pick up what you were saying. The guys were chatting about all kinds of updates. I was half listening. There we go. All right, we had some beefy buffalo just now. It sounds like Rowan's got some on his side, so let's send you up to him.
Probably not so cute. Oh. Here we go. So just behind that bush now, well, we've got an entire herd of buffalo in front of us. Let me explain the story, and you'll probably hear them quite a bit now. They are quite loud. Oh, she has a very cute baby coming. Oh, no. They are actually rather cute when they're small. I guess any animal when they're small are cute. Oh, this one's blocking the view. But behind the bush, the buffalo we were actually focused on, she has an enormous wound on the side. It looks like a cyst that popped. And you can actually hear all the birds fighting there to try get to the wound. So what they're doing is actually picking the scabs off. All of those are oxpeckers, and it looks like majority of them are actually yellow-billed oxpeckers. It's quite interesting. I mean, a special bird to see. They went completely extinct in 1915. And then they just kind of, reintroduced themselves into this area. I think in like 1979. But anyway, so it's always described as a mutualistic relationship with birds and buffalo, or these oxpeckers and buffalo, because the oxpeckers are supposed to it takes a wound a lot of time to heal because of that. And you can still hear all the birds fighting about it. Of course, when I go quiet, they go quiet. There we go. And she had a lot of oxpeckers on her. But, so where these buffaloes are, it's not even maybe a kilometer away from where we've left the Pride, the Birmingham Pride, this morning. More and more still crossing into the road. And like I was describing earlier, a herd of buffalo makes a lot of noise. So I actually have no doubt about it that the Pride would have heard them, crossing over the river. And it'll be interesting to see later on when we go to the lions which direction they actually choose to go, because I'm thinking they might come in this direction. So, give you a bit of background about this morning. It was so interesting to see. We had the Pride of Lions, the Birmingham Pride, with both Ross males. So Zessa is saying it's amazing how something so large can hide in the bush. It is absolutely amazing, and they can blend in rather well. Just a herd like this, they make a lot of noise. It's not like an elephant has soft pads. When a herd of buffalo moves through the grass, you can actually hear it. Anyway, so the Birmingham Pride this morning, we had the entire Pride, both Ross males, and we sat with them for a while. And then when we were leaving, trying to go up to the other bank, we found the lioness with both her cubs. And it was the first time that the cubs actually got to meet the Pride. So the introduction happened just this morning. And when we left, it looked like majority of the Pride was actually leaving, or maybe just looking for shade. So I think in a little while, we'll probably head over that way and see if we can find them. The majority of the herd has crossed now, and still quite a few older females still coming. Might be followed by a couple of old males, but it sounds like majority of them are now to our left. Yeah, having a herd of buffalo like this is very, very good for the area, because as they walk, they loosen the soil. Very important. Okay, so I think we'll leave the buffalo, and go see if we can find any sign of the Pride, if they've moved at all. Oh, that female looks pregnant. But for now, we'll send you back to Dylan on Twali Kalahari, I think still with the cheetah.
So the mother just moved in and started feeding, but she's super, super, super alert. it's almost as if she's worried about something approaching that's already fairly close by. The cubs are still very, very unconcerned. One's actually gone and lain down. The direction she's looking now, that's the area that's really been drawing her attention recently. Yeah, she's a gorgeous cat. And the little one's still getting really tucked in there. Just moving it right across into the shade. This is fantastic, man. Yes, I'm so excited that we got this. Wow, 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 wow. Bob, it could be that she's worried about vultures, but very, very unlikely. We've got plenty of vultures here, not a huge diversity, but nice numbers of them. Notably, white-backed is the most commonly encountered one, and then lappet-faced, which are the largest ones, massive black vultures, and then very occasionally Cape vultures. But what we find right along the mountainous areas where we are now, there's so much turbulence in terms of this warm rising air and getting swirled over these mountains that we don't tend to find a lot of vulture activity over these areas. So I would be very surprised as to where the location of this kill is if she was concerned too much about vultures. I think it would more than likely be something like hyena, possibly leopard. I would stake my money in this area on hyena being the bigger concern for her. And either brown hyena or spotted hyena. Surely cheetah can fight on a kill, the same as lions do, but not normally to the extent that lions do, and very, very seldom where any kind of serious injuries are encountered. The males are the ones that are moving in coalition, so 2, 3, 4, 5 together, and that's where you can normally get a bit of squabbling over a kill. A female like this with youngsters, she will almost always leave the youngsters to feed and not worry about them, and there'll be very, very little squabbling over that. It becomes funny when you got as an example of these two, where the two are feeding together, the two youngsters are feeding together. There you can get a little bit of like squabbling and grumpiness, and they were actually doing it a couple of minutes ago, where the one was actually growling and kind of like taking a little snap at the other one. But you're not going to get injuries like you can actually get at a lion kill, where they can actually like hook and gaff each other and nip at each other, and that's and also on a kill like this, there's plenty to go around. There's lots of food there. It's almost finished now, but they've all had a good meal. So we're just going to carry on biting the bullet and sticking with these cats. And if anything crops up in terms of other predators or hyenas or anything, we'll come straight back here. But in the meantime, head over to David and the elephants.
Well, we've also got animals that have gone into the bushes, but these ones are so huge we can still see them. The biggest animal we have out here, the elephant. We managed to locate this herd. Remember a little while back when we were sitting with those Impala, we heard lots of trumpeting. And this was the source. There are some youngsters in this herd. So maybe there was some jostling or playing, or one of the youngsters got a fright, and that was the reason for the trumpeting. There's some others there. Little baby. It's been an afternoon for babies. Let's go a bit forward and see if we can get another look. It's very musty smell here. Elephants give such a specific odor, and we're completely surrounded. There's the herd here and all the way around us, and you can just keep getting this very musty smell. Very unique elephant smell. Can't say I mind it. It's quite a lovely bush smell. Good old Africa smell. But it is very pungent. Can imagine to maintain a body that weighs a few tons, you've got to eat a lot of greens, and those greens have to come out. And with it comes the odor of fermentation. And that's what we're smelling. Lovely to be surrounded by a herd of elephants, just to listen. Why don't we listen for a few moments as they break branches and make a meal out of everything. Another mommy and youngster just crossing the road in front of us. There really are a lot of elephants here. Melinda, you've asked a question about elephant social structure and if elephants stay in the same herds for their entire lives. We're going to chat about that as I just inch forward. I want to see if we can get around the corner and kind of get an idea of the rest of this herd size. So Melinda, the females will, yes, they'll stay with their mothers in the herd. I suppose they can fragment off at times and perhaps form different social structures, different herds, but predominantly in my experience and from what I know about elephants, the females always stay in the herd. It's the males that will actually leave the herd. So when young bulls reach around, say, 15 years old, 15 to 20, and they've reached their sexual maturity, they're like teenagers then they will actually leave the herd. They'll generally get pushed out. I think they become very obstropulous and obnoxious and all those X words that no one likes, and just get up to no good, and they'll leave the herd. And they'll often form little bachelor groups of young males that kind of cruise around the bush and cause trouble, break things and do what young elephants do. And then they often will also be joined by an older bull who kind of shows them the way, and they become known as askari, which is a youngster. This is one of those youngsters we're busy talking about. You can see he's got attitude. He's growing up and getting sure of himself. This, look at you. This is just one of those young bulls I was telling you about. He's full of beans, full of life. I see you. And he'll never do us any harm. He's too young. But he is practicing his charge and is practicing his flare. So that one day he might use that when he's all grown up and developed and might have to fight for breeding rights. But for now it's just a practice, just a mock. Lovely to see that interaction as we speak about it, Melinda. So in the next couple of years of his life, he will leave the herd, maybe join up with some other youngsters, and then as they get older they tend to get more solitary, the much older bulls, but they of course join up with other groups depending on where they are and if there's females that are in heat. So a very interesting social structure, incredible elephants, incredible animals. But we're not the only ones out with interesting animals. Why don't we send you back over to Dylan and see how those cheetah are doing.
So Mom's just dragged that kill right around the bush into the shade. We've just repositioned to get a slightly better angle there. It's one of the cubs watching us. Mom is on the left. I wouldn't be at all surprised if a brownie hyena rocks up at some point, probably a little bit later, but let's hold thumbs, let's hold thumbs. There's always surprises out here. It's just wonderful to be able to watch this behavior, this constant vigilance. Tree frog, the cubs will stay with the mother for almost 2 years. We've actually seen it here on a number of occasions when they leave the mother at about 18 months, which is quite early, but normally you'll be looking at about roughly 2 years. And that's still not, once they've left the mother, it doesn't mean that it's plain sailing from there, because, you know, up until then they've had the support of the mother, you know, assisting with the hunting, learning about the stalking, obviously the free meals that come associated with that. And once they're independent, you know, that's going to be the crucial time, because then they don't even have the protection of the mother. You know, and that's probably one of the single biggest things. It's one thing being able to hunt. It's like, well, okay, the world's my oyster now, and off you go. But you've actually still got to be, you know, putting up with other cheetah that are trying to kill you. You know, trying to establish a territory if you're males. If you're very, very lucky, you'll have one of your siblings with you or more, so you can better defend or take over an area as a coalition. But yeah, the plain sailing's not over when you've left mom, eh? So these ones have still got some way to go yet. And cheetah coalitions are common. You know, your males, if you got a number of animals in a litter, 3, 4, 5, you know, if 2 or more of those are males, the chance is very, very strong that when they leave the mom, they'll leave together as a coalition, and they'll actually stay together as a coalition normally. You do obviously on occasion get times when it's just a single male cub like here, and he can move off and he can actually team up with any other young nomadic males that he encounters and form a coalition that way. But they are also very, very capable of maintaining and defending a territory as individuals. So if you see a single cheetah male, it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, well, you know, he's not going to be able to hold the territory. But obviously the odds would be stacked against him if there's other coalitions in the area. Oh, it's beautiful, actually. I wish I could describe the smells to you in a better way. This grass that the cheetah are lying in there, and that's around the vehicle, is called Kalahari sour grass, and it's got this super distinctive scent. Wow, look, she's got that whole kill up now. Oh, we're going to spend some time here, but David's got a spider on a kill, which sounds really cool. So head over that way.
Well, unfortunately not on a kill, but she is just chillaxing here in her web. This is pretty cool. We didn't expect to see a golden orb spider. Just still sitting here in this herd of elephants. They are still all around us. We just stopped to admire the beauty of this golden orb. It's coming to the end of her season now. She won't be around much longer. But incredible spiders. We're going to have to wait until our next summer season before we see them again. This may be the last one I see. Quite a large spider. She would fit in my hand a good 2 inches. But not of medical importance. Not enough venom to hurt people. But I suppose they could deliver a painful bite, although I've never been bitten by one. Very cool. Oh. Melinda, you're saying it's just beautiful. It is. That's what the bush is about, Melinda. You go from the small to the big. You know, we were sitting there with elephant and just admiring these huge creatures, and then you look to your left, and there between the trees, perfectly camouflaged, is this golden orb spider. You know, it's so small, but it's in its own right so fascinating how it weaves that silk and that web. You gotta appreciate it all. Elephants are huge and majestic, and we see a lot of them, and they're all around. You just trying to shift your focus to the smaller things, you actually realize how much they contribute. Viewers are wondering the difference between a garden orb and a golden orb, or garden spider versus a golden orb. And they do look pretty different. I can see if I can maybe find one in the book for you. Give me a quick sec while I look it up. So a garden orb's got that stabilimentum in its web. That's normally the dead giveaway. It's that zigzag. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. Whereas the golden orb doesn't have it. Here we go. So on the right hand side here on the top, you get the golden orb spider that we're busy looking at now. And if you go down, here's the garden. You can actually see that's the stabilimentum I'm talking about. It's very interesting how they weave that kind of zigzag into their web. The theories go that because there's a lot of ultraviolet reflective silk in that zigzag and that's the stabilimentum, it's used to attract insects and also be more visible to larger animals that might break their web. So very interesting. Like I said, not only about the big things, also about the small. But speaking about some really cool big things, which I really love, let's send you back over to Rowan and see what's happening.
So that lioness is now looking at the new cubs. So literally around us is 18 lions, the Birmingham Pride. Now, But it was hilarious watching this little lioness go up the hill. She was literally stalking up the hill, and I think, well, of course, now she's being cleaned by one of the larger lionesses, one of the lead lionesses. But I think she actually just wanted to go have a view of the new cubs. So the new cubs are just behind that lioness. The mom is lying down there, so every now and then we just see the heads popping up and down. But hilarious to watch her go up so sneakily, trying to be so quiet. Okay, good cleaning session. And yeah, so that lioness is the mother of the newest cubs. She's lying down. So earlier on, it looked like they were drinking. We don't have the best view. So Emma's saying that all the views are oohing and ahhing. Yeah, glad this is working out. And it's nice to see that lead lioness, how close she's lying down to the other lioness with the cubs being out there drinking. Oh, she looks like she's going to sneeze. Yeah, come on. Bless you. You know, it's like one of those sneezes that you know it's stuck there, and you really want it out, and it's just not coming at all. It's one of the biggest disappointments when the sneeze just go away. It never hits you. But this is good news. Some of them are starting to groom themselves, licking, yawning. But majority of them are still very fast asleep. So yeah, both Ross males are actually lying down together with each other. This one, as you can see, completely passed out. Looks very, very comfortable. Amber is loving the new dynamic of this pride and watching all of it. Amber, so are we. Like I said, I mean, this morning could have gone completely south. We didn't really know what to expect at all. And it was just lovely to see, everything working out. So, yeah, what a very cool day. The temperature is definitely dipping now as the sun's going down just behind the trees. You can actually, here's another lioness. So this is the lead lioness. She's the sister of the other female that was just cleaning the tawny youngster. And she's licking the sister of the tawny youngster, which is of course the little white one. Time to clean her. Very characteristic is the white dot on her bum on the side of the big lioness. You can see that little white dot on the left cheek. There we go. So she's the mother of the female that gave birth to the new cubs. Let's see where she goes. She's just going straight up. No need to sneak around when you're that size. So she's not following. Oh, it's like, no, she's turning left. Not going right. She might just pass out again now. Go for another snooze on the ridge there. Okay. I'm going to spend a bit of time here, wait for all of them to wake up, see which way they go. Hopefully, fingers crossed, they go towards the buffalo. That'll be quite fun. But for now, while we think about lions eating, let's send you back over to Dylan, Tualu Kalahari, watching cheetah eating.
Yeah, these cats are still gobbling their way through this carcass. And there's definitely not much left of it. I'll be very interested to see which direction she takes from here, where she goes to. The nearest water from here is actually very close. It's only about 600 meters in a straight line. So I'm guessing she'll head down that way. And also, sometimes if it's very cool in the evenings, they actually won't travel far from where they end up. In other words, if they're moving during the day, doing some hunting, even if they don't catch anything, where they end up at sunset or just after sunset is kind of the area that they'll stay in if it's very cold and if it's a dark night. But if it's not a dark night, let's say there's a full moon or close to full moon just on either side of it, these animals will actually hunt at night and cover big distances. And one of the prey items here, it's very, very unlikely that we'll see it at this time of the year, just with the temperatures, and we'd have to be out until very late at night, are called spring hares. It's these chunky rodents. They get to about 2.5 kilograms, and long tails that will look almost like miniature kangaroos. And cheetah are well known in the Kalahari for hunting spring hares in the evenings, as long as there's enough moonlight to hunt by. Look at that beautiful red bird straight above the cheetah. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if the camera's actually going to be able to get it. On the bush straight up. Amanda, cheetah I've never seen, in my career guiding, I've never seen a cheetah put a kill in a tree, but that, I could be wrong, but that's typical behavior of leopard. A leopard will do that on a regular basis. And again, not all the time. Very often male leopards in areas where there's not too much other competition from other predators will sometimes actually just leave the kills on the ground, and they sometimes scrape grass and leaves over it to hide it. And that's probably just more hiding it from things like vultures rather than ground-based predators. In areas where you get a lot of competition from things like hyena, and as you may have been seeing down in the low veld of those leopards, then they'll take the kills up into trees. But yeah, cheetah typically will catch something, feed as rapidly as they can on it, and then move away from the kill. One of these little ones is starting to move. I think it's just going to go lie down. Yeah, there you go in the sand. Good, right on the top of the mountain there. I don't know if you can't see that. No, we've got, we're not going to necessarily swing to it right now, but far, far away in the distance from where these cheetahs are sitting, there's actually a kudu that's staring down the mountainside at them, but I think you may pick it up on the camera. It's just off the highest point of the ridge there. We're just going to try find this. Just bear with us a little moment. It's quite interesting. If we can. There we go. Jeez, now that is Yandro at his best there, guys. That kudu, jeez, that kudu is standing in a straight line, probably about 400 meters away from where these cheetah are lying. And it's very, very, very alert. Well done for picking that up there, Andre. Sheesh. GCM, good job there. Samantha, I think that's exactly that. R.I.P. Bob. We were actually lucky to spot that kudu. It's just silhouetted on the skyline there. I mean, the camouflage is impeccable. If they'd been further down the slope, you wouldn't see those. I don't think it's going to be too much longer before they start moving off. That little one's doing its ablutions. That's the young male. Coming back to the kill now. Yeah, Sunny Jane, that's certainly quite a vantage point. I don't know what it can hear from there, but I'm guessing it probably can hear a lot more than we can. The view from up there must be beautiful. Well, I can vouch for that. This is so peaceful to sit and just absorb this. And not just the cheetah and that, but the whole environment here. Quite an amazing thing about Swallow is the diversity of these landscapes. If you look, yesterday this cheetah was out in the dunes, and today or this afternoon it's right up against mountains. It's just such a diverse landscape. But I think these cheetahs kind of finishing up here. So I believe David's got some Vervet monkeys, so head over that way and see what they're up to.
The Vervets, what are they up to? Didn't you say? Well, they are just up to mischief. Look at this guy in the tree there. Typical Vervet being mischievous. The Vervet monkey. Lovely to watch. But be on your guard, because they may be up to something. As you may know. Look at that face. It's a lovely shot. He's very uncertain. Doesn't know if he should run or not. Rather going to be safe and get out of here. It's very funny watching them run through the grass. 10 out of 10 for his descent there. Oh, and there's a zebra at the back. If you pan a little bit right or left. There. Zebra's wondering what is going on here with these crazy monkeys. But as I was saying, monkeys are often considered a major pest in this part of the world because they... Oh, there's two zebra. They can very readily find themselves into your kitchen or onto your dining room table or into your sugar pot or into your room or even into your vehicle if you were so unfortunate as to leave something edible in your vehicle. We have been raided by monkeys many times in the past few weeks, but I have nothing but love for them, as you can tell in my tone. Anyway, they're pretty cool. They've got their place out here. Zephyr, you say those tails are what keep them balanced. They are important. When they hop around in the tree, they use those tails. Remember, they're not prehensile like you get in South America. They can't hang by their tails, but very important for balance as they hop around. Shay, you say you love monkeys. I also, believe it or not, almost love monkeys. I say almost because I've had so many experiences where they've stolen my things. The one time we went to Sedwana, where we went and did some diving, a good mate of mine, and we were very poor back then, young kids, and we only had a pack of Viennas, which are like cold sausages, and buns for the whole weekend. And our first night there, as I was making the fire waiting to warm up the Viennas, a monkey came down, grabbed our buns and took off, and we chased this monkey for a good 500 meters before he eventually dropped our buns. So thankfully we weren't starving that weekend. But that is kind of a monkey in a nutshell when you get to spend time around them. Well, it's been cool, it's been real with these monkeys, but I believe there may be some action happening on Rowan's end of the world, so let's send you over to him and see what's happening.
Oh, I'm gonna completely. actually don't want to talk about the action too much, but maybe it's going to happen soon. We've actually had to reposition a little bit. I'll lay down. I mean, we were quite excited for the lion to start waking up, you know, and watch a bit of action. Oh, looks like, okay. So that young male that just got up, he's greeting his dad. Alright. So what they've been doing is all of them are waking up, and then they come to the ridge and they poo. And if you just focus in on that mountain, that has literally, it's caused us to reposition, and I am now actually wishing that the lions would have just slept for a little while longer. I don't really know how to put into words the smell, the stench that came from that, but it's this nauseating, sour smell that almost just sticks to your tongue. You can actually taste it, and raises the hair on the back of your neck. And so every now and then there's a slight breeze that comes on, and all of us just have to block our nose and, you know, try just pump through it. So we're hoping that no more lions wake up for a little while longer, so we can just sit here for just a little while longer, because we're definitely on the wrong side of the wind. Actually looks very nice with a bit of sunlight coming from the front. The youngsters cleaning the older lioness. Well, it sounds like Emma in Final Control is really enjoying our pain, our disaster of having to smell lion poo. It's really terrible. Very bad. Owen nearly gagged. I gagged. Yeah, she's having a good clean there. Sammy James, I'm glad you can taste it as well, because every now and then we get a bite of it still. So I'm glad that you are suffering through it just as much as we are. Oh, okay, yeah, the breeze just picked up a little bit. Not pleasant. It's been funny to watch. Every single youngster that came up from the right hand side sneaks up the bank, looks at the lioness with the new cubs, just, you know, peeks over, and then goes to the left, to where that lion is now killing. Well, so the other youngsters cleaning the mother. So the little white lioness, she's up. She's actually coming in. Oh, yeah, poo there. Please. Let's see what she does. Well, it looks like she's got something sticking in her teeth. Maybe trying to push it out with her tongue. Oh, she's going to heave. She smelled the poo. She's probably smelling exactly the same thing we're smelling. That's what Owen looked like earlier. Sorry, Odie. Actually see the drool coming out. I don't know if this is good to show on live TV. Is it fine? Absolutely fine. Oh, nearly had it. No. Maybe a tiny bit of a hairball. Oof, the breeze just picked up again. Okay, she looks a lot better now. Emma's asking to send you guys back to Cheetah. Twalu Kalahari. She doesn't want to watch us anymore. So we're going to send you back. Oh, big stretch coming. Beautiful eyes though here. We're going to send you back over to Twalu Kalahari to watch some cheetah.
So Mom's just moved the carcass again fortunately for us, just out into the sun now. It's getting cooler, so there's a lot less need for her to have that in the shade. They're certainly making the most of this. Oh, those cubs are absolutely gorgeous. The red on the one's nose. So the remaining armored ground crickets I'll come back to what I was saying now, but Samantha, they are super lean animals. Their design, everything about their design is just for speed. You know, the large deep chests, the narrow waistline, long legs, very small heads, a long tail, but it's also compressed, almost in profile. It's almost like an oblong shape, like a oval shape in profile, and that's so they can actually use it to help change direction at high speeds. But they're very finely built. They relatively delicate animals if you compare them to, you know, the stockiness and the power of a leopard. And obviously don't approach anything like a lion's build. Wow, look at that. That light on them now is just drop dead gorgeous. Wow. We're approaching that golden hour now, but another 20 minutes and we'll be in it. So we're going to continue sitting here as the light improves, but let's not shortchange our colleagues in the low veld. They're about to have an amazing sunset, so I think head over there and enjoy what they've got.
Well, I know this is unorthodox, but the monkeys inspired me to get a better vantage point. The Simbambili Rangers had lion tracks in this area. They said they were coming in this direction from the south where they are currently, so I thought, why not just climb a tree and see if we can see. It's a very good vantage point from up here. I wish I could show you. It's also nice to sit in a tree and kind of feel what the animals must feel. You know, we always see leopard in trees and monkeys in trees. You look up at them, and from this vantage point, it's lovely to look down, feel what they must be feeling. Wonder how many leopard have climbed this tree. This is a lovely marula tree. No thorns, nice and comfortable for a leopard to lie on. What the monkeys are thinking. These crazy humans. Why are you up our tree? I'm not seeing too much. I've seen some Impala in the distance. Absolutely stunning sunset. You can see the Drakensberg Mountains, the whole vista. Oh, what comes up must come down. What goes up must come down. I'm gonna quickly try and come down so we can carry on with our drive. I feel like I'm going to have this dismount judged. What? Should I just jump like a leopard? Can you imagine how leopards jump from the tops of these trees and don't get injured? Actually amazing. Well, that was interesting. Haven't been up a tree in a while. Like I say, always nice to get a different perspective on the bush. Sometimes it's nice to get off the vehicle a bit. What a phenomenal sunset. Well, at least I got my exercise in. I think Dylan's probably vehicle bound with his predators, so let's send you over to him and see what he has to say.
Now, so one of the youngsters moved off not far and lay down again, and then Mom just pulled the carcass even a little bit closer towards us. So she's really having her turn now after those youngsters eaten themselves full. Gorged, I think, would be the word I'm looking for. Harry, it's very, very unusual for a cheetah to leave a kill and then return. But again, I suppose that it would be what we define as leaving the kill. In other words, you know, with this cheetah, leave this kill, walk 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers away to go down to a dam and drink and then come back. The chance of that, I think, is very, very small. But certainly, if it was in a very exposed area and just tiny little shrubs for shelter, you know, she could leave a kill tucked under a shrub, walk 50, 60 yards and go lie down. As long as she can still see where the kill is, yeah, then she'll come back and carry on feeding like that. If she's left because of the presence of another predator coming in, then there's no ways that cheetah's going to come back. Any other predators, leopard, spotted hyena, brown hyena, lion, things like that, a cheetah won't risk confrontation with those over especially if it's a small kill. And of course, no animal wants to leave a kill. They've gone to a lot of energy, expense, and obviously risk to themselves of injury, trying to capture whatever they want to eat. So to give up a kill, you know, you'd rather feed on that as much as you can and then leave it. But when you're kind of down at the bottom of the pecking order in terms of your large predators, which cheetah and something like a brown hyena is, you know, you also don't want to risk coming back to it if there's any chance of an encounter with a larger predator than yourself. I'm very curious to see how far these cats travel this evening. It's going to be quite a dark night. And the fact that they've now eaten very, very well, I would imagine that they're not going to go too far. But we'll put word out for tomorrow morning to see if anyone can relocate these animals. So, to all the viewers out there just had interest, Melanie says hi. Melanie says hi. You see her teeth are starting to look a little bit blunt there, but she's still with us and still going strong, and she has arms now. although cheetah aren't known for super strong jaws, they've obviously got enough power to be able to suffocate an animal, and that in itself I think takes some doing. But if you look at the end of the rib cage, see, even the ends of the ribs have been chewed off. So it's not that they, if people say, oh, so if you look at those ribs and you think, well, yeah, it's only rib bones, but still, to crunch through those, there's quite a bit of power in those jaws. Not compared to hyena and lion, but still, yeah, they're tough cats, these are. And I'm glad everyone's enjoying Melanie. She's with us. She's cool. Thank you, Sasha. We do want to include Melanie as far as possible because we also feel that she's part of our team, and we really want to get her to experience the joys of the outdoors, as do we. But we've got a fun plan for Melanie later on if she gets to the point where she unfortunately wouldn't be able to join us on drives. But we're not going to reveal what we're going to do there, and it'll be, I think all of you will appreciate it. So it seems David made it down the tree in one piece. So head over to that side, and I think they've got some ellies.
Well, we've just located another little group of elephant, a little herd. It's lovely watching this young bull feed on this marula tree. It's a lovely scenic vista. See the female there at the back with those youngsters. The beauties of the Simbambili property are these nice open areas and the lovely mountain views. See this elephant, what he's done is he's used his tusk to stab it in there, pierce that tree's bark, and pull down a whole length of bark. That's a marula tree, one of their favorite trees. You can see how he's busy chewing that bark, he's working it. He first had the strip over his trunk and his tusks, and he was separating the outer bark, the outer cambium, the hard part that isn't nutritious. He was separating the inner cambium, or the juicy bit that he's busy working on now. That's what they're after, that thin layer of inner cambium, or inner bark, where all the nutrients run from the roots to the leaves. Now, this is destructive to the tree, but as long as he leaves the rest of the bark intact, that tree will be okay. Sometimes what they do is they'll ring bark that entire tree, which will be the end of that tree. It won't be able to survive anymore because it won't have any transport system from the roots to the leaves. Watch him. Look how he's going to take some more bark off there with his tusk. He's using that tusk, that sharp tusk as a chisel, working that bark. You can imagine how much power it takes. Listen to that. You may also be hearing some rustling grass. An elephant approaching us very close. Wants to be in the frame, also wants to be on TV. Hello. It's right here. Okay, fine, we'll film you instead. should at least give us the front of you. Now that he's had his moment on the camera, let's go back to this bull and watch how interesting it is how he strips that bark. It's really rare to actually see this happening. Always see the after effects, but it's lovely to see it as it happens. Listen to that squeaking as his tusks push through that bark. You can imagine incredible force he's exerting to strip that bark. And there he's gotten it loose. And now watch as he strips that bark again. That outer grey bit that you can see is not what he's looking for. He's looking for that very deep red. He's using his teeth to pull it off. Just working it. This is an incredible sighting. It's elephant sightings are just really in the top of an elephant sighting. Such a privilege to be out here and watch as this elephant feeds on this murder tree. And as always, once again, we thank you for your support in allowing us to continue operating out here, be able to have the equipment and staff needed to bring this production to you. We thank you for your continued support and assistance. Please follow that link at the bottom of the screen. Joy, you've asked, will this damage the tree? And Joy, as long as, like I said, as long as he doesn't take too much bark off, as long as he leaves enough bark for the nutrients to be able to pass up from roots to leaves and back and forth for the photosynthesis and growth of the tree, then it'll be okay. If he ring barks it, then that'll be the end of the tree, but that's what elephants do. They are natural landscapers. Sometimes they clear areas, sometimes they really break a lot of trees and open the bush up, so that's just nature. That's the way they're made to operate, so we'll let him do what he's doing. It's been a fantastic sighting, but sounds like Rowan is still with his lions, and perhaps they might be getting a bit active soon, so we're going to send you over and see what their update is.
Still very, very sleepy. Oh, there we go. Ah, good timing. That is the first time she's lifted her head since we've been here for like an hour now. Good to know she's waking up. Probably give it another big yawn soon. Very large teeth. Just hope she doesn't poo when she stands up. She probably would. But we're hoping not there. Giving another yawn. Pretty sure soon she'll stand up and she'll actually go join that bunch. You know, also try to be groomed. You can see the white male. He's now plonked himself on top of the female to the left, hoping to be groomed as well. The lioness with the cubs, she's rolling around. I can't see the two cubbies now, but you can see her rolling around in there. So I think maybe the cubs have gone further into the bush asleep. Oh, maybe she's licking one of them. Okay, let's see what she does. There's the cubby. Yes. Samantha's saying, poor me, I'm too traumatized. Samantha, I have had to sit here and block my nose so much. It has been absolutely terrible. So there you can see one little lion cubby's face just being groomed by mummy. So we'll sit here for a little while longer, but you're going to go back to the cheetah, who's also still feasting on the last little bit of the kudu.
Yeah, Mom's really tucking in there now. And as you can see, there's next to nothing left. Oh, this cub's tummy is absolutely full to bursting. Get a nice idea of the size comparison between the mother and the cub. I love the way they sit there with their legs tucked, their front legs tucked up on the side like that. You see, they'll often gnaw with the side teeth, the carnassials, what we call the carnassials, and those razor sharp teeth. You see that gnawing on the side? So ooh, there's an interesting question that Lisa has just asked. Do the female cheetahs have different markings to the males? And not to my knowledge. Every single individual cheetah has got different spot pattern, like right across the body. And obviously you'll get generalized things that are the same, like the what do you call the tear stripes, those black stripes down from the eye down to the muzzle. And the black and white rings on the tail, and so the general color scheme and pattern is the same, but the actual spot patterns themselves can be incredibly variable between individuals, and that's for males and females. So if you're trying to distinguish a male or female from a distance, you'll obviously look at the working parts, but then you'd also look at the general size of the animal, the height, thickness of the neck, how broad the head is, those kind of things. And then there's other clues, like, if it's a coalition, it's going to be males. If it's a single animal, more likely to be a female. I'm sorry, I didn't get the name there. My comms is breaking up a little bit here, but I got it about any outside introductions. Vespa, yeah, that's a great question. It's a very interesting management one for any reserve, and we've only very, very, very occasionally done introductions, just because we've got such a vast area and we've got so many cheetah that animals are coming through and going out all the time. So it's very, very seldom that we've ever had to intervene in that way. And it's obviously something that we'd keep to an absolute minimum. So our gene pool here is really, really, really good. And cheetah globally, we were checking up the other day, cheetah globally, there's about 6,000 on the last kind of census, about 6,800 cheetahs still remaining in the wild, which is not a big number if you think they occur from the southern tip of Africa right up into the Middle East and through into India. I mean, that's a vast area. And okay, let's round it off to 7,000. It's still not a big number of animals. So any conservation measures that enable the future security of the species are very, very important. But let's let them carry on feeding here a little bit. The light here is dropping quickly now. So head over to David and catch up with them on that side.
Well, Alex and I are just sitting here, breathtaking at this view. Does not get better than this. Sitting in an open plain, a herd of elephant and mountains in the back as the sun sets. It's just epic. Just a phenomenal sighting. These elephants are so chilled, so relaxed. No one's grumpy, no one's trumpeting. Belter, you've said, what a beautiful scene. And it is just breathtaking, as I've said. Doesn't get better than this with the elephants. Oh, just so relaxed, even with the youngsters in the herd. Got to watch that younger bull debark that marula tree, see how they use their tusks as tools. Hopefully he left a bit of bark for the tree to carry on growing, but if he didn't, well, that's the way it works. That's what elephants do. Those mountains in the back are the part of the Drakensberg mountain range in this region they called the Mariepskop Mountains. Huge mountain range that runs throughout South Africa, just towering over the Lowveld. Many, many years ago, when all of this was still untouched wilderness, elephants used to actually migrate from here to the base of those mountains and even up into those mountains that you see there in the background. Elephants are actually phenomenal climbers. You often see them climbing koppies and little hills. Often you'll get to the top of a little rocky outcrop that you've almost had to go under 4 foot. I don't actually know how to say that in English. Direct translation would be hands 4 feet, but what I mean is a place that's really difficult to climb up, and you'll find elephant dung right on the top, which just goes to show they can really climb as they explore and look for new vegetation to feed on. Laura Moore, lovely to hear from you. You've said, or asked, commented, what do we think about elephants counting their days? Do you think they count their days and their sunsets and sunrises? I wonder. It's an interesting thought with these animals that live so long. They can live nearly as long as humans do, 50 up to 70 years old. They do spend a lot of time out here. They walk all over the show from different vegetation sources to different water places, water sources, and they know this bush intimately. Maybe they do count their days, but not in a rushed way. I think they count their days in a peaceful way, enjoying the warmth of the sunrise on their bodies as it warms their grey skin, and enjoying the coolness of the night air as the temperature drops and the stars come out. Perhaps they do appreciate the magic of the bushveld as we do. Well, this has been just the best surprise. Lovely way to end our sunset safari, but sounds like we're not the only ones with a surprise. Let's send you over to Tristan.
I know they're going to bounce where it's going to be much us and might. Essentially what we've got is happening, pride, which is a pride we don't see very often at all. They're not a pride that hangs around a lot. We've got a male in there, and it's really nice to see them at the moment in order to potentially hunt. Alright, now, so if you didn't hear what I said, I was saying that we had the Torchwood Pride, which I know a lot of you like, and we haven't seen them for a while. They're not a pride we see all that often, but they are beautiful. They, unfortunately, it's probably going to be difficult because of the light that we have, but they have the most beautiful, beautiful colored eyes. They're these kind of butterscotch rich colors to their eyes. I absolutely kind of love the eye color of this particular pride. Now, they should come up straight pretty much where I am now. I think they're going to be coming onto Cheetah airstrip to come and hunt. So I think they're looking for any sign of impalas up on the airstrip. They're thin, they look like they could do with a meal, and so what we're doing is we're just waiting for them. Just as you came to us, they cut into very dense bush, and I was thinking I might follow them through there, but I know where it goes, and I know that they're going to come out onto the airstrip, and rather than clanging through the bush, particularly because I know that they are in a hunting situation, I don't want to disturb too much that it kind of disrupts everything that's going on, and animals hear us coming from miles away. I would rather just go nice and slow and just wait for them and be patient and let them come through, because they will come through. They're not going to go anywhere else. They've walked from almost Cheetah Plain side straight across the blocks in a direction of this airstrip, so they'll know that the airstrip is a place to hunt, and they'll probably want to do it before that moon starts to get too full. As the days march on now, the moon getting bigger, hunting for these lions is going to become harder and harder and harder to go and do, particularly at night because of how bright it gets out here. So, Jenna, you say, ooh, the Torchwood Pride? I know, it's pretty exciting. We haven't seen them. When was the last time we had the Torchwood Pride? I don't even know. The last time I personally saw the Torchwood Pride was in 2012 was the last time I saw the Torchwood Pride, before today. So it's been a long time since I've last saw them. They're a beautiful, beautiful group of lionesses. And like I say, rather than going through the thickets and making a lot of noise and disturbing them, better to let them come through. I'm pretty sure they're trying to focus on these open clearings and trying to see if they can find any rutting impalas, maybe wildebeest, zebra, that might be hanging around on that clearing, which is towards the sunset area. And so it makes sense rather to just wait for them, let them come, and give them the best opportunity they can have, as well as, you know, stay out of the way of the prey animals and don't spook them and disturb them. Because what happens when you bash through the thickets, you'll get a situation where they, you know, obviously disturbs everything that goes on. So apparently 9th of March is the last time we saw this pride on our live screens. I remember they were on Cheetah. There were some of the youngsters were on Cheetah and they were hunting or they had hunted, or I can't remember the story, but there was a water buck involved or something like that. So they were somewhere in this general vicinity, and then that was the last time we had them. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them. It's a pity they've come up a little bit late in the day, but it's exciting. Hopefully we're going to get lucky and we're going to be able to find them. They're going to come out somewhere here. They should come out ahead of us a little bit. And so while I wait, let's send you over to another Pride of Lions with Rowan. I believe they're walking past him.
Oh, you could hear the growling there. Sorry, all of us are blocking our noses. 3 more went. So literally just all of us sitting here with our fingers on our noses, but you could hear the growl there, because that's the Birmingham young male. When he got up and he got a little bit closer to the pride, the Ross male responded with a growl. Whew. It's really not pleasant where we are. Actually, I think we might leave in the next 3 minutes. The lioness with the youngsters, she took them further into the bush. So I think she might be depositing them in their new den. Emma thinks this is hilarious. Emma, this is really, it's honestly not pleasant at all. Yeah, I thought they'd be more active by now. But I guess because I ate last night, it doesn't really, force them to be so active this early on. The young white male is just distancing himself from the rest of the pride. It must be the smell. I would also be lying down far from them if I had the option. All of them wake up, they go to the toilet, and then they go back to sleep. Terrible. Oh, we could actually hear the cubs. Tree frog, I need more than a face mask. I think I need like a tub of Vicks and just rub it all over my face. OD's wearing his buff now. Oh, is that helping? No. He says that it's not helping. Okay, Tristan's got his lines. We're going to leave this pride, and you guys can enjoy the Torchwood pride.
We have indeed. They're just going now. They've changed direction and we're going south into a nets where we can't follow them, unfortunately. But at least we've got a view of them briefly. I'm going to just go forward a little bit so you can see the rest of the pride. They're walking down the road away from us, unfortunately. I was hoping they were going to come onto Cheetah. I should have come back towards this cut line earlier, but you know, it's the way it goes. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. But that's them just slowly disappearing down the road. Now we're going to have to go into infrared, so BK is going to flick the switch quickly. There we go. You guys can see them. Now I don't see if the male's already gone over. He was with the one female. Come on, guys, come back to her. Come on. I wonder if they may be spreading out now because they've spotted something. You see this lioness is coming back and is going... I wonder if they may be spreading out now because they've spotted something. You see this lioness is coming back and is going towards Cheetah, which is really good news. I don't want to go to this pride and tell them to come back to it. Older lionesses in front of us. Alright, so sorry about that, we had a little technical glitch, but this seems to be the oldest of the lionesses. She's got a little bit of an injury. It seems to be okay now. She's walking all right now. Just her right paw looked a little bit sore, and she looked like she was struggling a little bit, and the young male was with her, so I don't know where he is. I don't see him yet, but hopefully he'll make an appearance. She's the one with the little dark nose. But just listen to this. As she walks past, you'll hear her feet. Isn't that cool? And there she goes down there. Like I say, I don't see the young male just yet. I'm hoping that he's somewhere close by and that he also appears. He might have gone over already before we saw him. But it's so weird because when we were following them, they went off towards Cheetah airstrip, and we just came around the corner to wait for them there, and they obviously just turned behind us. Now, the pride can be a little bit shy. They sometimes are not a huge fan of cars, these guys, and they can be a little bit nervy. So maybe what it was is they were just waiting for us to go, and then they were going to cut down, and they're heading down to an area where it's also very productive. There's a pan with an open clearing, so it's very possible that they're going that way. Okay, well, at least we got a view, which is really, really nice. It's always nice to see a pride that we haven't seen much of, and tomorrow morning you never know, they might pop up somewhere onto Cheetah once again. And so while we sit here and figure out where we're going to go next, let's send you back across to Dylan for one last look at those cheetah.
Another magical sunset here. And mother with the cubs have moved away from what's left of the kill and are now just grooming. That mutual grooming is super important for maintaining, obviously, the health of the animals, keeping the fur clean. But just also in terms of that social bonding, it's very, very important. It's got to be my favorite time of day. Early mornings, late afternoons are the best. Thank you, Butterfly. It really is a very, very, very special sight to see. I've worked my whole career in the outdoors, and, this never, ever gets old. I think Mom's thinking of moving. She's kind of like, yeah, I don't know if there's much left here for this kill. I don't know why we should hang around. But the cubs certainly don't seem like they want to go anywhere. Megan, that is exceptionally kind of you to say that, so thank you very, very much. All credit is due to the cheetahs and to Yandro for being able to capture these moments. I mean, this is just superb. I mean, it's just... And it's just such a privilege being able to have all the viewers along on these journeys. I mean, that's what it's about. Yeah, look at that. And the cubs. Wow, those tummies are around, eh? It's incredible how much they can fit in them. I think she's going to go down and drink water. If she does... I think I spoke too soon. She heard me say that. She's like, no, I'll just prove him wrong. What a setting, eh? Sorry, please can you repeat that? Our comm seems to be breaking up quite badly now for some reason. Camouflage of the mother is just highlighted there. I mean, if you glance over this without knowing that there's a cheetah lying there, you could miss her so easily. I'm still holding my breath and hoping for something else like a hyena to come in.
Talking about holding your breath, Owen and myself are just really taking in all the fresh air now. I mean, it's lovely. I'm not even really focused on the spotlight at all. I am just taking the deepest breaths. It is exquisite. Really, not to smell that anymore. Absolutely loving it. So we are slowly making our way back towards camp and just seeing if we can pick up any eyes shining back in the spotlight, so any sign of a nocturnal animal at all. We've had a lot of viewers ask us for porcupine, and what we've noticed is actually this is probably the most amount of porcupine poo I've ever seen on andBeyond in Ngala. It seems to be everywhere, so I am secretly hoping, and I hope I don't jinx it, just to see a porcupine somewhere. That would be lovely. As you can see, I'm kind of gliding the spotlight quite quickly from side to side. We're not really looking for an animal per se, but the eyes shining back. And Emma's telling me that all the viewers are saying take deep, what did she call it? Yogi breaths. I am indeed. Since we've left there, both Owen and myself, we've just gone, woosa. It's been so nice to be away from the lions for a little while. As much as we love them, that was horrific. It truly was. But we stuck it out quite well. OD done really well. So far no eyes looking at us at all. Even often driving back we have scrub hares, sort of like bunnies running, or rabbits running across the road, and there's none of them here today. Okay, so it seems like Tristan's doing exactly the same as we are. So bumbling around looking for any nocturnal animals. So we're going to send you back over to him and see how he's doing.
Welcome back, not Tristan, it's me. Sorry, there was a little error with Tristan's signal there, and again, looks like the gremlins are really plaguing him today. But super good news about him finding those lions. The cat tracking robot is back. And by the sounds of it, from all the different feeds, it has been one phenomenal sunset safari. I mean, geez, just our end of the woods here with those elephants was absolutely phenomenal. Now the cheetah have been in action, the lion are moving. What a lovely sunset safari. Doesn't get much better than that out here in the bush. Rosie, you asked how hard is it to find animals in the dark? Well, without light it's very difficult because our eyes cannot see as well as cats' eyes. So we need light to help us. I've got lights on both sides of the vehicle, in front of the vehicle. I've got this handheld light. And it's obviously harder than in the daytime, Rosie, but what the light does is it does reflect light from animals' eyes. It's a very interesting little reflective layer called a tapetum lucidum that reflects the light, and that actually makes it pretty easy to pick up animals' eyes. So even though the rest of their body is very camouflaged, if they're looking at the light, it's pretty easy to see, and then you have a closer look to see what animal it is. But of course, like with tracking, that becomes a lot harder at night, if not impossible, in certain soil types. So it is a bit harder, Rosie, but with the light it is doable. And at night time we specifically look for the nocturnal species, meaning that species that are around at night time, and the crepuscular species, meaning the species that are active at dusk and dawn. Those are the ones we're looking for now, like the civets and the porcupines, genets, those sorts of things. And of course the cats that like to move during the cooler hours, as you may have noticed. As soon as it gets cooler, they like to get up and move. Well, note of nocturnal animals. I believe Tristan is also looking for some, so let's send you back to him and see if he gets lucky.
Had such a pleasant drive this afternoon. I know we haven't seen much of you guys, but it's seeing that pride again and spending a little bit of time with them. It's kind of trying to nudge them up the hill, so that we could get signal. And we were trying everything, any little sort of rise we could get. We even drove over little stumps to get our antenna up, tried little hills, everything that we could use to try and get some sort of signal so that we could show you. And eventually the lions got there. I know it was a brief sighting, but still at least nice to see. We had a few little birds and we had some good things on the way. So it's been a wonderful afternoon. It sounds like a magical afternoon pretty much for everybody. Everybody seemed to have gotten something that they wanted. So, you know, David had his tree and his elephants, and little baby zebra, and Rowan with the Birmingham Pride, and Dylan with the cheetah. So it seems like everybody got something good this evening, which is always the nicest. It's my favorite drives is where every single one of us gets something that they enjoy. You know, often when you work out here with people and you become friends and you build up a camaraderie, you always want to see everybody being successful. You always want to see everyone seeing cool things. You know, it's not nice if you're the only one that sees something nice and somebody else struggles. It's never a nice thing. It's always like when we have drives where everybody gets a little bit of something, and you guys too. So I think it creates a nice diversity and always a good thing. Alright, down we go into the Mulawati. Sorry to lose a little bit of signal, it should be okay. Alright, sorry about that, there's a little bit of breakup as you go through the Mulawati.
Well, sounds like Tristan found nothing but gremlins. Sorry, but again, the signal cut. But we are happy to have you back. Just cruising down Firebreak Road here on Simbambili. Keeping an eye out for those nocturnal critters. Temperatures drop nicely now, so things will be nice and active. Well, it's coming to the end of the show, it's drawing near, so we're just going to stop and listen to the beauty of the bush, switch off the lights, and take it all in. The stars are coming out, the moon is waxing. So 50 asked, or commented that even everyone wants to go home, even the technology. I agree, the gremlins are really plaguing us. Look at all that dust in the air, insects flying around. It's palpable, this night sky. It's a really moody atmosphere. The birds are slowing down in their calls. We may start hearing some leopards sawing or lions roaring. Night birds start, maybe hear an owl. Whatever we hear, it'll be beautiful. It'll be Africa, and Africa in its finest. Well, it's been a privilege being out here. We'll see you tomorrow morning from all of us. Cheers.